Hello, and we're back here. What we're going to be doing in this project is skim coating these walls here. Now these walls, there was once wallpaper up, and whoever took it down didn't wash away the glue, and they didn't prime it, and they just painted over it. So I know it's hard to see because of the color and the light, but there's a bunch of areas where there's still glue that is on the wall, and there's the imprint from like the back of the wallpaper. And it looks awful, and this is a flat finish, so you don't really see it until like you look at it. But under the lighting, you can see all the imperfections here, and there's bumps and stuff like that. So I know it's hard to see, but there's a divot there. There's a bunch of stuff here. It looks like yuck. There's all scrapes from where they tried to scrape the wallpaper off. This area here is a mess, and when like you look down the whole wall, you just see all the areas where like the glue is, and they never sanded the wall, so there's all roller lint that's on the wall. So what you want to do is I'm going to turn off this light here. So what you want to do is, what I do is I use my 4-inch blade here. It's a flexible taping knife, and I shave off the surface. Now this is going to get rid of any of the lint or bumps or high spots from either the glue or just chunks in the paint, anything. Now since we're skim coating the walls, you want to get away all this stuff right now, because you don't want to prime it and then have to do it. But sometimes you can do that, but you definitely want to sand or use a blade to scrape away any loose matter, so that we have a smooth surface, and when we skim on top of it after we seal it, less things will get in our mud, and our mud will stay as I wanted. There won't be lines or scratch marks in the mud, because you don't want that. So it'll make your mud job a lot easier if you take the time to go around and just shave away any high spots. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do this around the perimeter of the hallway here, and again, this part right here is very important. This is going to work a lot better than if you have sandpaper, but sandpaper will do the job. It just creates like a lot of dust. This really just gets off any of the heads, and you can use your 2 fingers too. If there's nail pops and stuff like that, so use your 2 fingers as a guide, but be careful. This blade is sharp. But it definitely will get the job done. So we'll be back to sealing the walls next. And I scraped down the walls here, and I vacuumed up the floor here, and then I put a drop cloth down here. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sealing the wall here, and I have this Gardz stuff here. As you can see, what it looks like, it's basically has like the viscosity of water, but it makes for a great sealer on top of this finish. So I put this on. This seals in all the glue, and it creates an adhesive surface that the mud is guaranteed to stick to. So you definitely want to use this first. So you definitely just want to cut it in here. And it goes on clear, and it dries clear. Now this is some torn paper here. So I'm just going to go right over it, and you can see it, how it absorbs into it. And then once it dries to a hard film. This stuff is very easy to spread too, because again, it has the viscosity of water. And again, this is a water-based glue, So again, it's going to seal in any of the residual glue that's still apparent, because I know that you can't see it, but there's lots of areas where the glue starts to crack through the top coat. So if you just prime it with a latex primer, that glue is going to activate again. So it's very important to use this, or you can use an oil-based primer. They both stink, but again, this is water-based and it's water cleanup, so it's a lot more efficient and time-consuming, or time-saving by using this. And again, this is a great primer to use on a problem surface. If you're not sure what the issue is, you can use this a lot. Like in bathrooms where you have just cook on the wall from the shower, from the heat, you have hairspray that gets out on like the wall and it creates like a jelly, so you can go over it with this stuff. But again, it's best to try to sand and wash down the wall first. And this stuff works great on joint compound, which we have here, because joint compound is a chalky surface, and if you ever try to use a latex paint on it, especially if it's dusty, there's a lot of friction and it won't slide and it gets all over your brush, it coagulates. This stuff, it just sinks right into the porous nature of the compound, and it makes the surface of the compound much stronger because it gets in there. This is a vehicle, it gets into the porous and then it dries hard in the glue, so it creates a hard surface it creates a vapor barrier too, so that the water from like the steam in the shower won't be able to penetrate through and reactivate the glue. So this is a great primer. So I just cut in the whole wall right here. I'm going to put this down here. And I have my roller set up here. And again, this is a 1/2 inch nap. You definitely want to use at least a 1/2 inch nap with this stuff because it's so thin. And I'm just going to load it up here. Now, you want to be careful not to get this stuff on the edges, because if you get it on the edges, it'll drip all down the wall. So just kind of like load up the middle, and if you have to go back a few more times, it's well worth it. So, with it all loaded up, I'm going to transfer it, and I'm not pressing hard at all to ruin the roller or to get the stuff out. I'm just doing it naturally, and I'm applying very little pressure here. And what you want to do is just spread as much of this stuff out as possible without going too close to the edges, because where I just spread out, there is an edge here because there's a lot of stuff there. So just spread it out first. And by spreading it out, you'll use less because it'll be more efficient. So spread it out in the middle, and now once it's basically, a lot of it is gone from here, but this is still like a sponge, and that's where you want it to be. So when I still have a little bit more, so I'll spread it out down here too. Okay, and now the roller isn't really leaving that much, so I know that it's pretty low. So with it already low, I'm going to come back up here and work it closer to all the edges here. And that way you won't have that hard edge that you get from like a fully loaded roller anywhere near the edges, because if you get it near the edges, it's harder to fan away or to make even. So I'm spreading this out evenly here now. And I'm gonna come down here. Now, anytime you're spreading it out and you have too much on it, go to an area that has nothing on it and get rid of it there. And then come back into it. I'll come down here and I'll work my way. Now, right now it's at the perfect consistency, so that if I roll over a dry area twice or 3 times, that should take care of it, and you don't really have to thin it out. Oftentimes the hardest part is getting the first section done. So down here, if you do have a hard edge, turn the roller so it's perpendicular and come as close to the top of the baseboard as possible, and that should take care of that. And the same with the top here. And again, just go back and look at your work. See, I missed that spot there. So I'll come up here and get rid of anything there. Kind of clean that up here. So always go back and look at it, because you may have an area where there's just way too much and it'll start to sag, and you don't want that. So just go back and look at your work. Okay, so that takes care of that. I'm going to reload it up here and just work this to this side here. And again, I'm not pressing in too hard here. Okay, so that's going to take care of that. So we're just going to let this dry out. I'm going to give this all overnight, and we'll be back in the morning to start to skim coat.